I gotta notice like for yours, all of yours are like kind of like you like the badass dudes, the big honking crushers, but like, and those are cool.
OJ and Joel had some really good emotional journeys.
No, they do, yeah.
Big honking crushers, dude.
Big honking crushers,
I love me
baby.
some big honking crushers.
Joey clearly was gonna try to say something else, but he's like big honking crusher. It's like, what did you just say to me?
Cool. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, another session, another podcast of PHNX Reloaded. Today, we're going to be talking about kind of a smaller topic in general. We're talking about what makes cool player characters in games, what makes a cool protagonist, cool main character, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to go off into the side character and non-player character side of things, since, you know, what makes a cool player character, what makes a cool NPC are not necessarily the same or related in any way sometimes. As always, we're going to lead off with Joey, PHNX Patriot.
Is that as always?
Nope.
I don't know about that,
I
my
literally just
dude.
picked you at random.
Is it not?
We
It's
did
not
the
as
last
always.
episode, so it works.
The last episode was different though because it was more my thing.
About you?
You think this song is about you? Anyways,
All right, so what do you think
okay,
makes a cool main character to start off with?
a cool main character?
Like, what are some of your favorite
okay.
main characters, and then what makes them cool, and then what makes a cool main character? Just that way you give yourself food for thought.
Yeah. Well, y'all know my answer.
Here we go. We're going to get into a debate that I knew we were going to get into, but go for it. Go for it.
The Master Chief, my homeboy.
Oh my god, that was so cheesy what you
The
did. The Master
Master
Chief.
Chief.
Over here
Yeah,
throwing
dude.
a peace
The
sign.
big green
Hang on,
boy
wait,
that's
wait.
not Link or Doom guy.
Oh yeah, the big green boy. Well, Link is not big. Okay, he's a small boy.
Yeah, but Link's big from a financial point of view as a franchise.
I see.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah,
I see the
Master
way you
Chief,
link that together.
Master Chief is dope. I think he has the right mixture of like not being a character who has like a completely fleshed out personality that so you can like fit yourself into him and be him, but at the same time he's got enough lore that you can also enjoy him without being him. You know?
Yeah. That's absolutely valid.
That's my
I
favorite
totally
character.
thought you were going to go into like, he's the perfect mixture of not being a cool, charismatic type, but everybody thinks he's cool anyways. Because he's not much of
It's
a
not-
talker.
I mean, Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say he's just charismatic. I just think everyone just knows he can get the job done, so they're just like, that guy.
Yeah, fair enough. What
But
are
yeah.
some other things that make him cool? What makes you feel cool playing as him?
Because he's a dope
He's
super
a-dope.
soldier. Yeah, he's a dope. You know, yeah, he's just a cool super soldier. He's all pumped up on them drugs, and he's been trained, and
Those
yeah,
drunkets.
and and it's just his story is pretty great. Oh,
So what are some of your other favorite player characters in games?
they play favorite characters.
Just kind of give yourself a bit of a variety before you go into food for thought for what makes them cool.
I know, right? I think. Oh man, I gotta like, you know, what, come back to me. Come back to me. I gotta
Okay,
think about it a
well,
little bit.
Skip. He's like, skip it.
Scam.
Skip.
All right,
Come back to
sure.
me.
Master Chief, the sole cool character in all of gaming for Joey.
For now.
Moving on to PHNX Rainbolt. What are some cool main characters in games, and what makes them feel cool to you?
Okay. I'm gonna be 100% real with you.
Uh-oh.
Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. We got Link. There was one more that I had, but there's just several. There's like a couple, but Joker from Persona 5. And then we got the finest of them all. let me get a round of applause for Revan.
Okay.
Steven
Just
in the
kidding. Just
background.
kidding.
Woo!
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
For what makes him cool, I'll start with Marcus. It's kind of the environment he's in. Like him being kind of a stoic badass. And like his background, if you know anything about his background, it's pretty cool. You start off the first game, first mission. He's in prison in a world that's kind of gone to crap, and they break him out of prison to fix an issue. If that's not cool, I don't know what is, because he gets out.
Being an upstanding citizen is cool.
Being an upstanding citizen is cool, but what I'm saying is he did war crimes.
And war crimes are cool. If Phoenix Lich tells us anything,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
war
But, like-
crimes are what the cool kids do.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like he gets out
War
of
crimes and
the
drugs.
out of the prison, and then then it's
War
just
crimes.
one thing after another with him. Like he doesn't stop. He doesn't take time to rest. He's always just fighting, and the opponents that he goes up against and their technology, their strength, and it's just you feel powerful playing as him, and you do feel like a badass that doesn't take shit from no one.
It helps that Gears of War has some of the craziest animations out there, like with the fucking Lancer chainsaw machine gun. Hello?
Yeah, his weapons help, but it's just a standard cool tough guy kind of vibe he gives off.
Yeah.
Then with Link, I like him because it's like he never talks.
That's it. That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's the only no, but like he doesn't talk, but he does do crazy stuff, and it's like his actions are what makes him cool. Him being able to go up against monsters, the size of castles, and he does it, and then just walks away. He's like, I did it, and doesn't like go out and be like, yeah, I'm the hero that just saved all you. Like, no, it's just he's doing his job, saving the world, and like, his weapons are cool to me. The Master Sword, like, come on,
Master Sword's
The
probably
ba-
one of the coolest weapons.
like, yeah, and like, dude has balls of steel, of titanium.
Titanium steel.
Titanium.
adamantine
Specifically titanium.
Damn.
Yeah. Titanium. But no, like, and him being able to, like, in our later games, like, bounce lasers off of his shield and, like, back at his opponents. Like, if that's not cool, I don't know what is. Like, dude just says, your laser you shot at me, I'm gonna play tennis with it and knock it back at you. And then who was the third guy I said?
Revan.
How did you forget the coolest one that you said? Like,
I thought
Yeah,
I did,
what do you think
I
the
thought I
most?
did 4. My
Nah,
bad.
only did those, bro.
The reason what makes Revan cool
Get it together.
is his whole story, in my opinion, and it's how you play him. But like the canon story, I like because it's the whole way everything starts off. It's like Revan's a bad guy. Don't trust anything Revan's followers say. We gotta stop Revan's Revan's old apprentice, and like you're just led to believe like Revan was a shitty person. You're like, fuck that guy. And then lo and behold, towards the end of the game, it's like, you were that shitty person. And so you get to experience like a nice story, and like just from the stories you've heard of Revan, you're like, damn, he was a cool, level-headed, calculating son of a bitch that won a war against one of the more powerful armies the galaxy has ever seen, like a whole army of Mandalorians, and he was able to take the fight to them and beat them in just army battles and strategies, and then he was able to beat their leader in one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat with that leader being Mandalore, which is pretty impressive. And like his whole story arc of being the hero of the Mandalorian War, then being the greatest enemy the Republic has ever seen, and then him becoming the savior of the Republic. I like you watch him like ascend to this like high stature, then fall from grace, and then he redeems himself. Which I always like redemption arcs, and he's just a master of both the light and dark side. Like, come on. He dabbles in both. What isn't cool about that? Like, let me heal you while I shock the crap out of this guy next to me. And it's just
That's deep. That's deep, Jeffy.
yeah, it's just the power he wields too. And like, but he's not cruel with the power like after his redemption. He's just, yeah, I saved the galaxy and I'm still trying to save it from the Emperor that's coming. So I just think like what makes him cool is how smart he is when it comes to battles and like his calculating the outcome and the best strategy, which I like.
Fair enough.
Nice.
I guess that'll wrap it up for just the kind of list of PCs and what makes them cool. Moving forward with PHNX Legend, let's go to Steven. What are some of your favorite like player characters that you feel like are the coolest ones?
And
man, that way.
And what makes them cool? Okay, so I have a list of a few. I probably won't be able to go as in depth as Jeffrey because Jeff pulled out a whole bunch of cool lore things about Revan. But a couple of mine, and I'll list them. I'll list them, and then I'll go off and explain why. So, Soap McTavish, and I'm listing them kind of from like bottom to top of like some of my favorites. So Soap McTavish from Call of Duty, and part of the reason that Soap is involved is like if you just play the games, it's like there's really not much to his character that you find out. But there are some cool things, like if you buy the hardened edition of Modern Warfare 3, like he had a journal and you can read through all his journal notes. So there's like specific things to each mission that he was saying or like different people that he interacted with. And he has a really cool backstory of just like interaction or how he was feeling throughout certain missions and like being nervous or being excited to like get jobs done. So Soap is one of those that's like, you can't really in game see all the cool. I mean, in game it was cool, but he didn't really talk much, right? Then Lara Croft, I think Lara Croft is great. Just from like the pure perspective of like, it's a character that without it being an RPG, you feel like you're immersed in that character's story, and like the adventure that she takes part of in all the games. I think just, I don't know, it's really immersive. And so like, as she's sneaking around on dude, I remember playing Tomb Raider on the PS2. Like, and it was like, I went back and watched some of that gameplay compared to now. It looks so bad. Like it's so awful, but it was so much fun. Let's see, moving on up, another cool character, Iden Versio from Battlefront 2. Okay. I like her story and how she, I mean, I guess this is kind of spoilers, but guys, if you haven't played these games by now, I guess whatever. Yeah. But I like her story of how she started out.
KOTOR.
Right, exactly. Like if you haven't played KOTOR by now, then you're kind of whatever.
You're not gonna play it or shouldn't care about spoilers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Someone who has not played KOTOR,
yeah.
Like you pretty much have heard everything from all of us that you need to. But how she started with like in the Empire and working for the Empire and her whole transition to working for like, I guess you would call it the Republic or the New Republic. But her whole transition of like why she was working with the Empire and what made her switch. And it's a really cool, like it kind of keeps you on edge. Like it's not even that great of a campaign, but her story is a great story in my opinion. The campaign is meh. but the story is great.
But, yeah.
And then I would say one of my favorites is Ezio Auditore.
I was wondering if somebody was
Firenze.
going to bring that up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, shout out to Altair. Love the first Assassin's Creed. His story was cool. And like, but Ezio's story of learning to be an assassin and like the way he came into like the Brotherhood basically was really a cool story, and how he had to fight with different emotions of killing versus not killing. And he also makes you just feel like a badass. Like you're climbing up walls, jumping off of roofs, stabbing people, hiding in haystacks. Like
he is pretty cool because you also play three games as him, and like you watch him go from like the first game is like he's beginning and you watch him learn, but then the second game he's in, he's building the Brotherhood back up, which is pretty cool. And then the third game, he's old and he's more experienced, but you could see he's tired.
Yeah. No, that's really true, because I feel like in the second game, or well, the first of the trilogy, but Assassin's Creed 2, I feel like he was a, how would you say? He was very energetic and like a go-getter, kind of that young energy about like getting things done, and kind of like a head first character, just kind of diving or feet first, jumping in like feet first and just whatever happens and blah, 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 blah. And then, like you said, in Brotherhood, he was more calculated. He still had that energy though. Like in my opinion, that was the prime of Ezio, was during Brotherhood, like somewhere in the middle to the end of that campaign. And he really was like, okay, like I'm still excited, or I still have a lot of energy, but I need to be calculated about building up the Brotherhood because we have a mission to complete. Like we have a job to do. These things are important. And you end up seeing his emotions change a little bit. And then in, like you said, in Revelations, like he was really old and tired. And he kind of had that whole, like he was just, I don't know how to explain it, but he really had a good story arc where he just kind of let all the energy and the excitement go. And he was just like, I think, in my opinion, he enjoyed killing in the beginning. Like I personally think he did. Now that's up to interpretation, but I don't think towards the end of his story arc, he enjoyed killing anymore. I think it's something that he realized he had to do, but it wasn't something that he was excited or wanted to do. And I think that was part of the reason, like you see his character was starting to gray.
Like all caught up with him.
Right. And it kind of caught up with his character. So that's, Ezio is, I love Ezio. And I didn't mention any RPGs because I feel like RPGs are my favorite for a different reason. But like,
because technically with RPGs, like when you pick an NPC, like a player character from an RPG, and it has dialogue, you're the one making that choice.
Right. Yeah. Right. You are the character.
And I was going to say, like, that's why for me it's kind of hard for me to pick like other player characters that I like because it goes back to like the first podcast where I was saying like I don't play games normally for story. I mean I like them, but like I play mostly socially. But when I do play, it's usually an RPG, and I like games that I can like completely become the main character and kind of invest myself and be that person.
Yeah,
it's like the Dragonborn. Like the Dragonborn is a cool character,
right?
But that's because you make him cool,
right? Exactly.
Yeah, when it comes to characters like that, I feel like if like in RPGs in general, that is, I feel like a big part of what makes that character cool is their history from before you became them.
Yeah, like one of my favorites of that nature would be Noble Six. I like the absolute mystery that shrouds him.
I was going to talk about Noble Six too.
I could even argue that like the Dark Souls or Bloodborne have really cool main characters because it's like they come from like almost nothing and then they amass insurmountable power to the point where you kill gods, and depending on the secret endings you get, you might even be reborn as a god.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. But it's like they're completely customizable. There is no given backstory. They just all you know is that they came from nothing.
Yeah, it's because it's like when I said Revan, he is in an RPG, and you decide his fate in the game,
But his history.
and but it's his history from the beginning part. You didn't get to decide that, and then
Right.
when they came out with the canon ending and like all that, like that's when it's just like I could use him as an example, but like I would only have
Right.
to be able to use, like, say if they didn't come up with a canon ending and it was just however you played it, I could only use, like, I feel like I could only use pre-game Revan, because it's like I can make game Revan cool, but that's technically how I'm playing my Revan.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
like Legend could play his Revan totally different. And like I just don't think that Revan's cool. I'm like, that's pretty lame.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I didn't bring up like Shepard from Mass Effect, was because
Fair.
I mean, even though there is like kind of a canon ending, I mean, there is a canon ending, but I don't know if we all accept it as being a canon
But the thing is,
ending.
like, the choices you make as Shepard during the game, none of
Yeah.
that's like, that's not
None of-
canon.
Right. Literally the beginning and the, like, even his before, I don't think they actually decided if he was canon, like whether he was like an Earthborn or any of that stuff. I don't think that was actually stated
No.
which one's canon, just the ending.
Because it's, you take your character from the first game, move him to the second, and move him to the third.
Yeah.
That's technically canon for you,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
for me and not for Wyatt. So
Yeah.
it all depends on how you play that Shepard, because
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter if I play the male Shepard as a hard ass, but is lenient sometimes when it needs to be,
Right.
and you play just a total like, I'm gonna shoot everybody because everyone's corrupt. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Which
And
you
last-
did go pretty in depth with your NPCs, or with your PCs, excuse me. So
That's fair.
especially with your Ezio, I feel like you went into Ezio the same way you went into Revan.
That's fair. The last thing I'll say about it, and then we can pass it
Move
off.
to
But the last thing I'll
Raptor.
say is it really has to do with writing, and I feel like okay, I'm not gonna get into this with you, Joey, but I do like Master Chief. I do, and I enjoyed playing, especially in Halo 3. I really enjoyed playing Master
That's
Chief.
the best one.
I did not enjoy playing Master Chief in Halo 4, or I just didn't. And
I
like,
disagree, but okay.
no, I mean you can, but like
Yeah. That's
Ezio
part
for
of
me was
discussion.
also a very well written character. His entrance was crucial to the series as a whole. Like if you look at it as a whole series, his introduction was crucial, and his exit was crucial. I think they wrote him off at a perfect point and continued on. And in my opinion, like I haven't played all the Assassin's Creed games, but none of the characters, I'm not saying there aren't better games, but none of the characters have roped me in to the story as much as Ezio did. So like, I feel like there's just a really good way to write a character. And I think in that respect, like Assassin's Creed did it right. So
Very fair. And that's a big part of what makes cool NPCs and PCs in general. Or like good characters, good games sometimes are dependent on their good characters, depending on on what kind of game it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and put ourselves forward to PHNX Raptor. Stephen, what do you have for us as far as some of the PCs that you really enjoy playing as, and what makes you feel like, specifically, which ones you think are cool, and why they make you feel cool?
So one of them I would have to say is from a newer game, so I'll have to refrain from some spoilers, but Ghost of Tsushima.
Fair.
Jean is a very... Man, there might be too much stepping around him from
Just play the
Through the
game and
spoilers
you'll
to
see why
really-
he's so cool.
Yeah. The dynamics of his character and
The relationships he has with
evolution.
other characters.
yes. And
And that's
how,
a huge part of what made me love Jin so much.
But yeah, I mean, I obviously can't get into it, but those that have played Ghost of Tsushima would probably understand what I'm talking about. But I really enjoyed playing as him and seeing how his story developed. Another one would have to be, and this kind of newish, but Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order. I liked the
Totally forgot.
I liked
Yeah.
the
Joey,
whole.
do it if you
He
got it.
has kind of a special power where he can. This is not really too big of a spoiler. It doesn't really affect the game too much, but that he can essentially like put his hand on any sort of object that may have some importance, and he's able to like read the history of that object, like what it's been through, what the user of that has been through. So like a blaster, a lightsaber, upon other things. So I think that's really cool that they kind of went into that a little bit deeper into the Force, but also they didn't make him overpowered. Like the last real like Jedi game that I can really think of that I played was The Force Unleashed, and you were insanely powerful. And I mean, yeah, that was the whole point, but I liked the idea that you played as this Jedi that wasn't crazy. Like they nerfed him a little bit. You know, it wasn't like, it's not like every Jedi is as powerful as Luke Skywalker. You know, not every Jedi can pin themselves up against a Sith Lord and actually survive. So I really liked that dynamic, and then how he grew up essentially without a master. I mean, Order 66 happened, and you know, his along with many other Jedi's masters were killed. And instead of him kind of going off at the deep end, he actually, you know, as a kid, you know, rationalized the situation. He cut himself off of the Force for his own safety, and you know, lived out his life that way. And I don't know. I think that was a very interesting, playable dynamic of Star Wars there. But yeah, I'm not going to spoil any of that game either because it is relatively new. So
I will say it's pretty. That is pretty fair though. I like how like he doesn't turn to the dark side, and because like under the circumstances, it would kind of make sense, and I think it's a good life lesson too to like use the things that you've learned when things go bad, because like the whole story is just him basically like remembering all the things he learned.
Yeah,
and then like I think it's just a good life lesson to not just forget everything from the past when things go bad, but to like draw on the past to help you move forward.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like Steven talking about like the Star Wars experience. It reminded me of another cool character from Star Wars. From the you're right. I'm sorry. From Republic Commando.
Ooh,
where
I
you
never got to
play
play that game though.
where this is our first introduction to Commando like clone troopers. Like you're above
I'm gonna go
like
download that right now.
like regular clone troopers, but you're not a Jedi. And so like when you see a super battle droid, you're like, I'm in danger.
Yeah.
But like the whole squad's dynamic is really cool. But like the leader that you play as, it's another one of those characters that is smart and calculating, which is interesting to play as. Because as myself, I'm not very good at strategy sometimes. Like I play strategy games, but it's interesting to see how like an actual commander works, and that's what essentially you are. And like this respect people show your character when you show up is you actually do feel respected, and it's like I got the power. So that's just what reminded me when Steven said Cal. I was like, oh yeah, playing as a not a super powerful like I'm Star Killer or I'm Luke Skywalker. It's just
playing a more down to earth character in a very like high tier setting is definitely interesting.
Which then like, you know, they could make a second Fallen Order and make it to where eventually he builds himself up. But even then it would be different. Even if you could be as powerful, which obviously, I mean, Cal's not going to be as powerful as Luke Skywalker. Luke is a special case, but, you know, he could be powerful enough to take on a Sith Lord and actually live to tell the tale. But the fact that they would, of course, the theoretical option that could happen, the fact that they would have gone through the dynamics to get him there, rather than just saying, hey, he started here, but now he's dummy powerful, and this is where we're gonna drop you off at. Like actually getting to be along for that ride would still, be really cool, and it would still keep him on the list for me.
Very fair.
Yeah.
And then there's I had it written down, and then as soon as I take my eyes off of it, I forget.
I just remembered another character.
Oh, I
Should we
remembered
say
one
this?
too.
If you
I dare
don't
you.
say it,
That's
blind,
why
I'm
I
gonna
always
be
try to go last.
You guys got to loop back to me first.
We'll definitely have some talking. We're talking about NPCs as well. And
Yeah. That's where I'll
Since-
probably have more content.
before we even get there, though, we're going to talk about like what you think makes characters cool in general. So you can use examples there too of characters that you've thought of.
Was that your full
here's,
list? Oh, you got it.
The next one was going to be John Marston from
John
Tough
Marston.
Oh, bro,
Taking it back.
I
That's
forgot about Johnny
bad.
Boy.
Yeah.
Johnny boy.
So this one,
dude.
spoilers, whatever, the game came out like 12 years ago. If you haven't played the first Red Dead Redemption, I don't know what is wrong with you.
Just click off the podcast already.
Yeah,
Okay, we don't
go
know
play
then.
it. Go buy it. and play it.
Question: does that mean I have to leave the podcast? Since I technically
I told
haven't
you to
played
leave
the story?
before we
Neither
started.
have I, actually. You know this.
I haven't done either. It looks like we outnumber you. Looks like
All
you
right,
guys
so
gotta leave
it's a
Go.
Steven's podcast now.
I'm
You
just
You
Savage.
two, get out of here.
into the
But
shadow realm.
he, in Red Dead 2, you kind of got to see a little bit of his, because Red Dead 2 was like funny how it's called Red Dead 2, but it's a predecessor.
Which I
yeah.
think is ridiculous. but-
Yeah. But you got to see a little bit of the past John Marston talks about in Red Dead Redemption, where he was in a gang and all this stuff, and he, murdered countless people and disrupted society. But in the first game, him, trying to come back from that, seeing the error of his ways and wanting to, actually start helping people, I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, the
Yeah.
Old West setting is really neat. That's not really something that games really tap into, and I think that Rockstar did a very good job there. But yeah, I liked the whole aspect of his past didn't solidify his fate. He wanted to change that. He wanted to right the wrongs and find his family and just be a dad again. And I really liked that.
Yeah.
It's that was kind of a simple, not much else to really say about it, but it felt good. I like this character.
John Marston was
But
a really good character.
That
Like,
one just reminds me,
yeah.
like Arthur Morgan, like he's pretty cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the dynamic between him and John throughout the second game is pretty cool. But like with Arthur Morgan, it's like from the very beginning of the game, like you notice the type of character he is. He's kind of a hard ass, and
Yeah.
he does what's best for the gang, and it's the gang first. Anybody else can eat it, and then he gets sick, and he doesn't know like what's wrong with him, and you slowly see him like transition, and like he's trying to come to terms with like, yeah, I'm gonna die, and there's nothing I can do with it, and he's like trying to help all these people before he passes away, not just his gang members but random people that need his help. He'll help them, and it's a cool like experience to see a man fighting with his inner demons, because he's afraid of what comes next.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know where he's gonna go, and he doesn't believe he's a good person, and so before he like leaves, he wants to make things right, and like him at the end of like, spoiler alert if you don't want, skip ahead.
I, by the way, have not finished Red Dead 2, but it has been out for a while, so it's my fault.
Okay, well, spoiler alert, Steven. It's him and John's like versus the gang at that point, because Dutch has completely lost his mind,
Yeah.
and you have Micah just whispering in his ears, and
Oh my
Arthur
god.
Arthur like sacrifices his life, like what little life he has left, to save John and let John get away. And John doesn't want him to do that. He wants Arthur to escape with him, and so that they can still be a family, because Arthur and John are like brothers, like
Yeah.
not by blood, but by just growing up together and them always having each other's back. So like you can see that it's breaking John, but Arthur knows that like he has to do this to distract them so John can get away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that like it was a really good prequel because it set up a lot of the things that you saw in Red Dead Redemption. I didn't play Red Dead Revolver. I don't know anything about it. So, but it saw a lot of like what you saw in Red Dead Redemption. And I think that is part of why John was so like hell bent on helping people a lot of times. I wouldn't say hell bent. He still kind of was like meh, but like that's the reason he went out of his way to do it.
Yeah, he just didn't want to make the same mistakes Arthur made when Arthur's like dying, and he's just like, I have to be like do as much as I can for people around me, and it's a cool story because you learn more about Arthur. Like he was never like a total ass of a person. Like he's a good guy, but it's Dutch that makes him the bad person. It's Dutch telling him to do this for the gang. Just do this one more time, and like it's him wrestling with his father figure and who who he wants to be. And then when he's dying, he decides like, I gotta be good to those around me. Like I'll still do things for the gang, but I'll do it the right way. And it's a cool thing to watch him just take a stand for himself instead of just going with emotion.
Yeah.
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 So
I like that. What about you?
Moving on to yours truly.
Boo, get off the stage.
I'm sorry. Okay. So I actually have quite a few characters, but I'm going less in depth on all of them to kind of group them up into like sections.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of like the characters that are like cool and confident and talk a big game.
I did say 4 people. I said Joker for Persona.
And we don't need to go to Joker.
He's just a cool guy.
Joker's just a cool cat.
Yeah, he really is though.
But so I like characters that talk a big game and are like cool and confident. Some kind of ones that I put down, another Assassin's Creed character, Edward Kenway, prime example of the pirate fantasy. He just is like, he just talks shit at the enemy and he talks up his friends and he just talks a big game, and I love it. In the same vein, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, exact same situation. He just talks a big game. He's the cool, confident character, and he just kind of always has a snappy comeback. A little less humorous is going to be Geralt from Witcher. But he is cool and confident as well. He just is always shit-talking his enemies. And no matter how you play his character, no matter how dialogue choices you choose, you know who Geralt is. Even if you choose, like, please let them go, I'll bribe you to get out of there here safely or whatever. Or if it's like, I will literally tear you apart right now. Like, I don't care if you let them go or not. I'm just going to kill you. Like, you know who Geralt is, and he's someone who like sympathizes with like non-humans and like genuinely sympathizes for their like suffering existence, because as a Witcher he shares a similar existence of being ridiculed. But he's also kind of just what I kind of like about Geralt is that he's kind of just an asshole. Like he just genuinely is just kind of a dick, and I don't know, it makes it interesting because it's like even people who are nice and who treat others well in situations aren't necessarily like going to treat everyone well. Back on the humor side of things, I think Dante is one of the coolest characters from Devil May Cry. Partly because he's just so fucking like strong that like, I don't know, after playing through like DMC 4 and 5 and seeing a lot of like gameplay footage and like cutscenes and stuff from like DMC 1 and 2 and 3. Well, you know, aside from 2. I don't know. It's just I like. First of all, he's really strong, and like it seems like nothing can really stand in his way, and that's just impressive. Except for his brother Virgil, who's on a similar power level. But Dante has that like extra oomph of just being a wacky woohoo pizza man, and like you don't see anybody else in any other game jump up and like ride another enemy as a skateboard and just fucking capping people with guns on his way through them. Like he's just got the big dick energy, and it's hilarious because he has the power to back it up. On like the power fantasy side of things, I like Alex Mercer, the Doom guy, and Billy Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein, all for pretty much the same reason, being that they just have this raw energy that just makes me feel cool to tear my enemies apart. Although Billy Blazkowicz actually has a lot more character to him because he actually has some really good lines as well. And he's a more interesting dynamic character than the others in the way that he has like the only Wolfenstein game I played for reference is the most recent Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus. I haven't even played Youngblood. But he has like this interesting dynamic where he is like this big buff like white guy, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's like the perfect Aryan race, which is important for the setting that he's in, especially considering his mother is the Jew. And he's got like this interesting dynamic where like his father is fully on the like Nazi train. I think his mom's been dead for like a really long time, so that's not important necessarily as far as how their relationship dynamic goes. But he has this like hard ingrained fear of his father because his father was this abusive fucking asshole, right? Like whenever at one point, I don't remember why, but he's like, oh, he teaches his son how to shoot guns like any normal Texan father. But the way he teaches him how to shoot guns is by tying his hands to a shotgun and forcing him to shoot his own dog.
God.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a whole thing. But then Billy comes back as like this badass fucking super soldier. And he comes back and he sees his dad. His dad has a shotgun pointed right at his face. And he just tells him, like, there's a day that I was scared of you. There's a day that I'd piss my pants out with a barrel of a gun pointing at me. But you want to know what I feel right now? Not a goddamn thing. And he just fucking pulls out an axe, knocks the shotgun aside, and kills his dad.
Ooh.
You know, I'm not, you know, saying patricide's great and all, but that's a pretty badass fucking move.
Yeah.
He was a Nazi anyway.
True, he was a Nazi, and Nazis
You know
and
how we
zombies
feel
are the
about it.
best ways to make human-like enemies that you don't have to feel empathy for.
That's true.
Like the new,
yeah.
like the first Wolfenstein game with him in it is pretty cool. Like watching BJ just experiencing like him, just like, oh, my country is now kind of Yeah.
That like emotional and psychological whiplash of just being like, everybody's like, all right, yeah. Like, he wakes up and he's like, I need to go back to the America's base. I need to like report to them. They're like, dude, the war's over. He's like, the war's not over. Like, there's Nazis everywhere. They're like, yeah, the Nazis won.
It's like
Like the war is
for
over.
For reference,
You
he
just
gets
didn't win.
paralyzed in a mission, and like
He's unconscious
just
for
kind-
like years.
like he's just sitting there like watching the seasons pass, but like nobody's bothered him, and he's just trying to figure out how to walk again. And
But
lo
yeah.
and behold,
Yeah.
the game
Nazis
starts. Is
won.
like Nazis show up, and he's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah. Last two, I swear. I have Corvo Atano from Dishonored. A big part of that is just I really like the gameplay. Like the game, his powers are cool, his kit's cool. What lore we have on him is cool. Like this, because like it's one of those settings where there's a country where it's like, yeah, people who like combatants from that country are just better than other people from other countries, because you know, fantasy settings have that kind of thing. But Corvo is like a Sarkonan warrior, and he's like, you know, the big dick in the yard, being the like the royal protector. But then you get into like the relationship dynamics between him and Emily, since like he's her illegitimate father. And I don't know, it's just really interesting like dynamic of like he's like this big badass motherfucker, but he has his weaknesses.
Her being
Namely his dog.
Yeah. And like a soft side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. But also, like, I don't know what little dialogue he says in Dishonored 2, since there's not really any dialogue in Dishonored 1 that he says out loud. In Dishonored 2, it's just, I don't know, he feels like, I don't know, he has no sympathy for people who don't need sympathy in his eyes. And it's not like I don't know, I like that like juxtaposition of like with Geralt as well, where it's like you have a soft side and you treat people well generally, but if you don't feel the need to do so, you have not a single problem with treating them like shit. In the same vein, Joel from The Last of Us. And that is the last one I'm going to say. And it's for a lot of the same reasons as Corvo. He's got his soft side. He's got, even though, like, I don't know, I like at the beginning, though. I like beginning Joel almost the most because he's just this big fucking asshole. He is so, no nonsense. And he just doesn't trust anybody. And he has no problem with using and abusing people for resources. Like, you're interrogating this unarmed man at one point just to get information, and he just like breaks his arm because he's not giving them the answers they want. I don't know. Like, I'm not advocating torture, but in video games,
there's a lot of things that you're not advocating this episode.
I mean, patricide and torture are two things that I should not be advocating in general. So.
But why I'm disappointed because like I forgot to mention on my turn, and I was like, "Why will definitely say this man?" And you didn't say him. It's Kratos.
Absolutely fair. He's got the same energy as like Corvo and Joel, and a little bit of that Doom guy in there, and Billy Blazkowicz. He's got all of it. Yeah, he's just the biggest, baddest motherfucker. But I don't know. The most recent game really went into his weaknesses and his regret. And like before in all of the God of War games, you're like, tear them apart, like fuck the gods, right? Sometimes literally. And I mean, Aphrodite is a god. Let's not be picky. I mean, God, part of like the race of gods, one might say. But then in the newer one, it goes like he had weaknesses before, but his family died, and that fueled his rage more than anything. But now he has a family again, or at least a son, and it just goes really strongly into his weaknesses. And I loved like hearing him lecture Atreus about like there are consequences for killing a god, and you can't do that kind of thing lightly. After in the previous games, we've just been going out and murdering god after god after god after god,
getting rid of a whole pantheon.
Yeah, the entire pantheon except for like 2. And I don't know, it was just
how monotheism
is born.
Thing.
But Joel has the exact same thing, except you witness in that single game his journey from big asshole fueled with anger and hatred to like slowly being broken down and getting like a softer side and weaknesses and becoming more human through like his relationship with his like surrogate father relationship with Ellie.
That's fair.
And with that done,
I will say this. There's one character who I didn't mention, and you guys are going to be like, what the heck?
We'll do a smattering of wrap up.
Yeah. You're going to be like, what the heck? But Mario.
That's fair.
Listen, cool Mario. Jeff, don't give me that look. Mario will do anything to save Peach. Like, and how many times does he have to do it? Like,
I did the whip thing, and then I hit my like little like wind blocker, and I'm like, that's gonna sound fucked up in audio.
like why? Like, he'll do anything to save Peach all the time, and then he brings his brother along. Like, poor Luigi. Like, Luigi's just strung along for the ride.
Too. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, but in all honesty, like, even though there was like no dialogue or nothing, just the way that old Mario games like Super Mario World or Mario 3, even Mario 1, or I know 2 doesn't really count all the Mario fans, but 2 is cool. But just the way they told the story, like, you got all the information you needed with no dialogue at all. And I just think that's another cool way to tell a story, because if you really pay attention, like, if you don't pay attention, you're still gonna have a good time. Like you're still
Yeah, it's
just
a
gonna
fun game.
enjoy the game, right? But if you pay attention to like all the, you don't call it cinematography, but all the like
Not calling
things
it,
that are
sure.
going on screen,
Environmental
right?
storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. If you pay attention to the environment, like you're gonna pick up on some things that are actually pretty cool and pretty intuitive. And I didn't realize that until I played like Super Mario World much later, when I was like 12, 13. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
But since
Hyper
you're
Light
throwing
Drifter
out
is another
Mario,
game that has a lot of story without any dialogue whatsoever.
Yeah,
It's really interesting because the way they do have like dialogue is like little speech bubbles that have like pictographs in them that display the
Right.
information that they're giving you. And I don't know, it's interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
so with your next Mario example,
oh yeah, like since he was throwing out Mario, I just thought Luigi's like people are like Luigi's lame. He's
Nah,
a scaredy
Luigi's
little he's
Luigi's a
scaredy little
fucking
cat.
bro.
And like, but like you think about Luigi is scared,
but he's still
but
there.
he's still there. He shows up to
He's
help
still
his
out there.
Yeah.
he shows up to help his brother, even though he's like, dude, I'm in danger, which is like cool to me because it's like he's putting his family before his own like safety, where he can be like, I could just stay home, and like like in his own games, like Luigi's Mansion, and Luigi's Mansions 2, when Mario is captured and is in danger and can't like do anything. Like Luigi is scared out of his mind, but he's like, I gotta save my brother. Like I don't like these may be ghosts, but it's
Yeah.
like that's my brother. I have to go and save him. And it's just
yeah, he's always there.
yeah, and it's just one of those things. Like he's cool, and like the reason he's cool is because he's supportive, even though like he doesn't want to be there, and like he doesn't feel like he can be of help.
He's also got a
That's-
mad death glare in Mario Kart.
Yeah,
That's fair. Bro, that's low key Italians though. Like Italians do anything for family. Like for
Yeah.
real, they do. Like if you know Italians, man, they'll. I wish I was Italian, but that's another subject for another day.
I'll go for that rapid fire kind of.
What's your
I'll go for
recap, Joey?
my rapid fire since I skipped it.
I've got
So
one character.
definitely, like Steven said, definitely Cal Kestis. Like I mentioned before, the reasons. Altair, like Harper said, that I will say about him, I really like him. I like him more than Ezio, and I know this is a hot take. I know.
I can understand though. Like I can
No.
I don't agree, but I can really understand.
Well, also part of it is I just never played all the games, so I just can't relate either. So only one I've ever completed myself was Assassin's Creed 1.
the door.
And
Wait, you've got to play 2 through Revelations because Revelations has things about Altair in it that
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you really like him as a character, you're gonna like really enjoy it. But you've got to play the Ezio trilogy and get there because it all makes sense. Like
yeah.
If you just
I
go
don't know what
to
it-
Revelations, you're like, how the fuck did this happen?
I don't know what it was. And something happened in like Assassin's Creed 2 that I was just kind of like, I think I'm done. Anyways, so I'm not saying Ezio's a bad character. I'm just saying from what I know, I like Altair. Especially, I like the idea that his story is basically like that he goes off and does all this because for like what he thinks is a good cause, and then he finds out it's basically all for naught, and that the Grand Master of the Assassin Order is the bad guy. I love that kind of betrayal story. I love betrayal stories in general. They get me going.
Joey
And,
just betrayed me.
You don't think I have already?
Oh shit, the plan's in motion. There's an absurd Rube Goldberg machine that's stretching all the way over my house.
So yeah, I really like that aspect. Another one, I don't know if you could count her, but Chell from Portal.
That's fair.
like-
No, I count her for sure. She has a lot of attitude without having a lot of attitude.
Without like
Well,
actually
that's
doing anything.
to say.
And I was
Yeah.
not expecting Portal to be mentioned in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like she's got such a good
Joey's just like-
story though. Like just being
Joey's just
stuck
like,
down
we're all
there.
mentioning like hardcore
She has a great story,
fighters, and then
but
Joey's
also,
like,
like,
Portal.
It's interesting because like in the lore of Portal 2, right?
The lore is so
um,
fantastic.
It is really
Cage
interesting. Because you know the whole Half-Life situation. I'm only just now playing Half-Life 1 for the first time. It's whatever. But Shell
I
in
need to
Portal
do that.
has like the big attitude because in the lore it's like she can't talk. She just is so fucking done with everything. She's like, fuck it. I'm not talking
Yeah.
to you. I don't care.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here. No, like say Apple, she starts jumping. She's like, fuck you. You can't make
Yeah.
me.
That's why I love that. It's just good. And then the last one again, like Legend said, was Iden Versio. It was just a good campaign in my opinion. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, and the whole like turning from good to bad to good was a different change. And to double on that a little bit, I also really like. I still don't know if you can count it, and maybe uh, Raptor can help me decide on this, but is the two characters you play in squadrons, if that really counts?
Yeah, I thought
Like,
about that.
because you make your character, but all the dialogue is already chosen,
Mhm.
and like I don't know, especially the specifically the Titan 2 that you play as the Empire side, like him trying to get revenge to the guy that was supposed to be his mentor, but instead betrayed him. Like, again, another good betrayal story. That one got me emotional.
I really
Anyways,
need to finish
those are my
Squadrons
rapid
this
So
fires.
year.
what Joey to you makes a cool character? Like if you had to like what makes a character cool to you? What traits do they need to have to be cool? Or like if you were to make a character that you wanted to be cool, what would you do?
I think it's the emotional depth, having like something there that they've been through something, or that they just want to, they're trying to attain something, and it's just this emotional journey that they're gonna have to go on. I don't know if like I can notice like for yours, all of yours are like kind of like you like the badass dudes, the big honking crushers, but like,
I
and
mean,
those are
hey,
cool.
BJ and Joel had some really good emotional journeys.
No, they do, yeah.
Big honking crushers, dude. They're
Big
my
honking
thing. I
crushers,
love me
baby.
some big honking crushers.
Joey clearly was gonna try to say something else, but he's like big honking crushers. It's like, what did you just say to me?
Big honking crushers.
I wish I could take those words and put them back in your mouth.
How dare you just force me to hear those words?
I'll
Okay,
pull
so
them
the
out for you,
emotional
Jeff.
journey, the emotional depth.
Yeah, yeah, and just some complexity. Like, and again, going back to my favorite one of Master Chief, like, there's this thing going on, especially with Halo 4. Like, there's this thing going on with like him struggling with his humanity versus being a machine, and then he's got like the actual machine Cortana telling him to be a human, and it's just like all this stuff going on. It's just, I find that.
I guess it's fair. There is depth
Yeah.
to Chief in Halo
Yeah,
4.
he
But
tries
if you-
to treat himself as a weapon, but
But if you
The
think about
people
it,
just
he's
want him to
always
be a
treated
human.
himself like a weapon. It's Cortana that's been his humanity.
Yeah,
but
and
that's what's so perfect about it is now she's
beautiful irony.
evil, but she still wants him to have his humanity.
Cortana was never
Yeah.
evil.
She's currently evil.
Yeah.
She's not
Pretty
She's
evil.
currently a bad bitch.
She's currently a bitch.
I guess Steven
Batch.
didn't finish. You
No,
didn't
no, no.
finish Halo 4, did you, Steven?
I finished 4. I didn't finish
Okay.
5, even though I know the story of 5 though because I watched it.
Okay.
Like I just
Loser.
never like I watched a playthrough of it before I had the game, and then so like I know the story, but she's just not bad.
Can we give a shout out to my boy the rookie in ODST?
Yeah, I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up Buck actually from ODST.
Oh, that's
The
when
fact
you
that
can
he's
play
dealing
as
with
him.
everything crumbling all around him,
Fantastic.
and he still has this little sense of humor, but you can feel him just breaking inside through the
Oh,
game, and it's
you're
just
right.
My name's
I-
Buck.
I loved ODST
You know,
so much.
I'll
All
say
the
this:
players you could play as.
we've talked about like characters that we like, but like I'm just gonna say this: there are characters
Chief.
that make
Oh.
you feel like why? Like I don't understand what's happening. One of those is the Guardian from Destiny. I just don't like. I love Destiny. I love playing in Destiny, but like as a character for a story, like what?
Yeah,
What?
what's the Guardian's deal?
Like I don't. It doesn't do anything for me. As like I don't get immersed. I'm just like, okay, this is a game. I'm gonna go shoot some things, and it's gonna be cool, and things are gonna explode, and there's colors, and it's
like
fun.
you
but
wake
it's,
up
like
because a little orb is just like, this guy seems good. Let me just bring him
Yeah.
back to life. And then like,
Cast
like,
the
as a-
Revivify.
Yeah.
as a
Resurrection.
story, I'm not
finally awake.
invested. Except for Crota.
Yeah.
When we killed Crota, I was invested.
Let's
I
be
want to be more
honest.
invested in the Destiny story, but like,
I
there's
hate
just,
Crota.
it's just all over the place.
well, let's,
Destiny has a lot of cool lore,
it has
but the
like
hard part is
cool-
making sense of it.
Yeah,
the-
putting it in order.
What the hard part for me with with like getting invested in the Guardian story is like Destiny 1's story ended after like 7 missions, and it's like, they were all short. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I paid $60 for this game. He wasn't a cool character, and I didn't enjoy playing him.
Yeah, let's not even get into the whole Destiny thing because we can make that a whole
Yeah.
podcast by itself.
Yeah,
Destiny is a topic.
Rainbow,
it is weird.
What do you think makes a cool character?
So in my opinion,
What do you need to feel cool playing a game?
it all depends, like, because like you could have a cool character and everything like about him is cool, but if the story is lacking, then I don't feel cool because it's just like it feels plain and boring. Like my character's supposed to be like ooh, look at the flair, but like if it meshes together, like in games where your character is cool and the story's cool and you can see the emotion of the character and how they shift and the changes. Like I like what I think a character, like what makes them cool is like their depths of emotions and if they go through some sort of change. Because like with Revan, he started evil. No, he started good, went evil, then went back to good, and then with Marcus, he's just a hard ass throughout a lot of the games, but like 3 is the game that like hits him the hardest the most. Like of course like he's lost a lot of people, like you can see that he's not afraid to like let his emotions show. Mainly when he loses people, he just gets like either fucking pissed, or in the case where he loses his best friend, like he gets irrational and he's just not like thinking like as the leader he is. He's trying to go and save his friend even though he knows he's dead. And it's just, I like the fact that you can see a hard ass be okay with showing emotion. And it's just with him, it's cool to watch his story because like he does do a lot of cool things like chainsaw battles, fight monsters that are 10 times his size, and like just go against odds that he shouldn't win, but he does. And like that and not being scared of a challenge, which if your like the character you play is scared and wants to run away, but is still able to face that challenge and continue to go at it, I like, because because like nobody's immune to fear. Like even Link, the character that has the Triforce of Courage, he is scared. Like he knows the dangers he's up against, but he has the courage to face it.
Yeah.
And it's just with all their stories, like plus their attitudes, and like if they change in the story, it's a cool thing to experience. And like when it meshes together, it just, I feel like I'm like invested in finding out what happens with each passing like minutes and hours. Unlike like some games where it's just you load up, you play this character, and he's like, I don't care about this character's story. Like with Arthur Morgan's, like at first it's like, okay, it's pretty all right, but then like stuff starts to happen, it picks up, it's like I got invested, and at the end of the game I was actually like kind of like feeling it in my emotions when he died. I was like, no, he still saved John, but it hurts.
That is true with Red Dead, because it started off so slow, but then things just started hitting you, but it started going so fast, you were completely overwhelmed with everything that was going on. And then at this point, you're just like, okay, can we slow down for a second?
Yeah, you're like, I don't like where we're going.
Yeah.
Let's stop. But like, and like with Ezio too, it's just like, you see him go from like this cocky little kid whose parents are like very well off and like he's rich and he doesn't have a care in the world, to losing everything and just being angry.
Yeah.
And then he learns to like control his emotions in his first game and like become an experienced killer. And like you do see that he enjoys it, and it's just like, okay, he's going down like a dark path, but then at the end he shows mercy, which
Risquiecate pace.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's it. Like the man he showed mercy on is the man that killed his ordered the kill of his family, but like he saw that that man was broken and there was no point, and just let him go, and like in 2, he becomes like you just watch like just like all the games like if your main character has character development, which is what I like the most. Like when characters develop and show more than just the I'm gonna stay a hard ass the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Or like with Link, like you don't see him change, but like you do see that he become like as the adventure goes on, like you feel that he does change. Like he may not say anything, but like with the more equipment he gets, the more like I feel like he's changing like mentally, if that makes sense. Because like he'll get magic and other stuff. Like he's having more of a physical change than like of a mental.
Yeah.
But it's just like he just goes up against incredible odds is what makes him cool. What I like. So if characters go up against credible odds, have development, and just aren't afraid to like show more than one emotion, I just think they look cool. I just think they are cool.
Yeah.
I have a question, and anyone else can answer that too, but pose it kind of Jeffrey since he just spoke. But is it something? Is it the thing that makes you like a main character? Is it the coolness of them? Is it that they're cool that you like them, or is it the connection you have with them? Do you find like an emotional deepness with them?
Yes.
Fair.
It's like why I like a main character can be entirely different from why I think they're cool. Usually, main characters that you like are cool.
Yeah.
I agree with Wyatt in this case because it's like I like the character. The reason I like the characters I gave is because like I was able to connect with like to their story and then
Yeah.
their personalities. I was like, okay, I like his cockiness. I like his like just fuck like we need to get shit done and I'm gonna do it this way. Or it's just like I like how the character lore like in his lore the reason why he's silent all the time is because he has to put on the facade of a brave knight.
He doesn't want to open his mouth and prove everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to say something stupid, so if he's quiet everyone thinks that he's
like the stoic badass.
Yeah, even though like he is sometimes afraid or so he just stays quiet. But it's just the different aspects of someone's emotion and like how they first start off like in your mind. It's like, whoa, he's cool. And then it's just like you learn more about them and it's like, okay, he's even cooler than I thought. It's kind of like how Chief treats himself as a weapon. It's like I think Chief is cool, don't get me wrong. But it's because Chief is just a badass and he just doesn't see himself as anything but a weapon.
I think Chief treats himself as a weapon though because that's the way he was treated. Like he doesn't know anything else. I think it's different because Chief developed his humanity through the game. Like he learned humanity through Cortana. It's not that he had abandoned it and treated himself as a weapon. Like he literally didn't have humanity.
Because
he's having to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So like with Chief, I think his development was like he connected to something that was like deep within his subconscious, but it was just brought out through his artificial subconscious, which was Cortana, right? And then that's why he had that struggle. Whereas Ezio almost like lost his, I mean, he didn't, but like he was going down the path of where he could have lost his humanity.
He was going down a dark path and we're like, let's go down.
And he's like, skirt, you know, let's come back.
It was like a wavy road he was going down. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, like I like the inner conflicts also between characters.
Inner conflicts are cool.
because like when a character has inner conflict, like you can relate with that because everyone has an inner conflict with themselves. So like if a character has to make a hard choice or a decision, and it's just something we can all connect with, maybe not that decision they make, but it's just like I've been in a point of my life where I had to make a choice between A or B, and they both sucked, or or I liked both of them, but I couldn't have both. So it's more about just the character themselves and their inner conflicts and their journey that I like. Because like you can get someone like Luigi, as I gave an example, like he is like kind of lame. Like Luigi, like
Ouch, my dude. Just felt like at least 10 minutes earlier talking about how he was actually pretty cool.
no, I mean like he's kind of lame in other people's eyes. Like if you think about it, like when you talk to some people, or like if you see any parodies of Mario, like Luigi's just always automatically the lame brother and like other things. But like in all honesty, I think Luigi's the cooler of the brothers because he is scared and he is frightened. But like
And does it anyway.
He does it anyway. So like his
He's
inner
the big man.
conflict the whole time is I can either run and hide and get away from this situation and leave my brother behind, or I can help my brother and support him. And he always goes with the help his brother option. He never picks the option that we all know he wants to pick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because Mario's
fair.
just big dick energy into everything, you know?
Yeah,
Peach is
Mario's
like, "Eh,
That
save
goofy
me." He's
smile
like,
on
"Help."
his face.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He just jumps into things head first, and then Luigi's like the one that's having to actually think about things and come up with some resolve.
Yeah. And then there's Toad. Toad's
We don't talk
Nobody talks
about
Toad.
Toad. That's man. Toad. That's.
The
I love
princess
Toad.
is in another castle. How'd you get in here?
Yeah, like Toad just shows up randomly. Like, how? Where'd
I
you
always
come
feel like he's
from?
just a prisoner.
Maybe.
He's
Like,
just, the princess is
low-key.
in another castle. All right, thanks. So wait, the key, please.
Or like
I
use
feel
that
like
giant
Toad-
axe you just used.
I feel like Toad
Sweet.
could have saved Peach more often than not, and he's just like, "Nah, it's Mario's job. Like, I don't
It's
get
that
paid enough for
plumber's
this."
job.
So Harper, Legend,
Yeah.
what are some of your thoughts on what makes a main character cool?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this twofold. What makes a character cool, and what makes a character likable? Okay, so for instance, the reason I'm separating them is because I personally think Guardian is cool. Like from Destiny, love the Guardian. Like as far as like the powers and how it makes you feel when you're like doing stuff, I think Guardian's kind of cool. But I don't like the Guardian as a main character because meh. What makes one like all around good character for me, a good backstory. It doesn't necessarily have to be relatable, but a story that I can immerse myself into, I think, number one.
Like a solid, nice, like little history of the character.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like
You don't
something
even have to
that
be
you
like read it in the beginning of the game.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
They could just tell you during the game like little tidbits of, oh, he did this, he did
Yeah.
that, and you're like, that was me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things that I like. If it is a character that has some sort of struggle, to me, because I mean, I say it doesn't have to be relatable, but I think we all like relatable characters because if we can identify with it, then it brings out something in us that we can't quite put with words, but
I
we
get
know why we relate to it.
It's
And
'cause,
that's the reason I don't like. I mean, it's not a video game character, but that's the reason I don't really like Superman. Superman is just like
nobody
like-
can relate with him because
and
nobody
people-
can take bullets to the eyes and they just fold
Right.
in on the
and
bullet.
people are like, well, Superman's so powerful and he has to come down to Earth and blah 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 and like hide it. And I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't screw Superman. I'm not a big fan, but that's another.
We can
That's a
see that.
superhero podcast for another day. Whatever.
Supercast.
A supercast.
But that just reminded me is like the reason, like the Guardian, he's just a lame character, and like he doesn't have any history to him. But when you put him and like the story, it like the lore of the world is cool, and his like
Yeah.
this somewhat story we get is okay, but like his lack, like they tried to make his powers and all his abilities the cool, like what to make him cool, but like that didn't work because he was just a blank canvas that
Yeah.
I just didn't care about. And like when you said like a relatable issue, I related with Arthur Morgan like a lot because I have asthma, and so I got the aspect of his lungs stop working with him. Because like
Yeah.
it's actually like terrifying as your like lungs just collapse, and it's just like he can't breathe, but he's still out there trying to save John's wife, John, and everyone. Like he's still putting in work, and it's like I respect that because like with me when I like start to lose the ability to breathe, I just like I'm gonna chill and just rest.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I do think
then
that the Guardian, sorry, Steven, the Guardian is pretty. I'm okay with it because you're literally just like everyone else. You're just like all the other Guardians. There's nothing special about you that sets you apart from them, other than maybe you are more determined to do what you're supposed to be doing than the rest of them might be.
I don't like
In
that.
theory.
But I do think that leads to potentially like a longer game life. But that's not exactly what we're talking about. But it does lead to an interesting dynamic where you're watching the story unfold from a different perspective, I guess. Like you're not necessarily part of the story, but you're watching it. I can't really
That's fair.
properly put that
I
into
get where you're
words,
coming
but
from.
I like the dynamic. I think it's interesting.
I
Same with like
I give
Call
you
of
that.
Duty and stuff.
You like exist in the story.
Yeah,
Is that what you
Yeah.
like with
mean?
Call of Duty, some of them at least, you exist there as just a
Like
normal
Roach.
ass soldier. Yeah,
Like
just
when you're Roach,
doing your thing.
Uh,
You're watching everything unfold.
I get that, but like back to the blank canvas aspect of the Guardian, like I just I like your analysis of it, but like when I
But he thinks you're wrong.
no like
Just kidding.
I'm just this is gonna be my example. Like he's a blank canvas that feels like you don't go anywhere as that, and like he's just watching the story, and like I've not invested in him as a character. And another blank canvas that you do get invested in because he does have development and you learn more about is what's with that face, Joey? I just see you're like no is Revan, because like when you start that game, you just start off as a normal dude, like waking up in a Republic ship as a soldier. You don't know like, and you just told you gotta go save this person, and like you just start off as the game as a blank canvas soldier of the Republic, no history, no nothing, and then you slowly learn more about this one character, and it's just like okay, Revan's a big deal, and then you find out you are Revan. It's like I was a badass, but like before that character had development. He was like I'm a normal soldier. I have a weird connection with Basla. Now I'm being trained as a Jedi. Now I'm set on this hardcore mission. Like the development, and then they just added, you're actually not a blank canvas. You're this dude. It's like, okay, I'm cooler.
Yeah. No, I feel that. But I think another thing, like the last thing for me as far as characters would be, and this is more of a hard, tangible thing, is mechanics. So if you're setting up the story of a character to be an underdog, then I want to feel like an underdog when I'm playing the game. Or if you're setting me up to be like a super powerful, like badass character, then that's how I want to feel when I'm playing it. Now I know a lot of that comes down to like what difficulty levels you choose and certain things and that matter. So I get there's some flexibility, but I feel like there's some games, and I'm trying to think of an example of this, but I feel like there's some games that set you up to feel a certain way and you just don't. For instance, I'll say this. Now I haven't played it, so I can't speak to that. But I will say this: I love Assassin's Creed 1, by the way, absolutely love it. But as far as do you feel as much like an assassin playing Altair as you do playing the other characters? Not necessarily. Because it's not that they didn't set Altair up to be a good assassin as far as the story. I think he was. I think he's great. But as far as the actual mechanics, and I get it was an older game, yada yada. But in the newer games, you definitely have the ability to act more like an assassin than you do in that game. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really liked Ezio so much, was because I also felt like what he was set up to be. Altair, like, it was kind of hard to do some of the things that you were supposed. Now, I did like some of the difficulty, I will say, because like assassins weren't necessarily the most warrior types. So you're fighting, and it was a lot easier to die in that game than it was in like Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, where you could just walk around and kill everybody with a broom. But like, but at least in Assassin's Creed 1, like there were some assassin characteristics that I was missing from the game that I think were expounded upon. So I can't think of a better way to put it, but that's like the best example I have right now. Doggy!
No, like a good example, like you said,
She decided to
what
join.
makes you feel like you are what you're supposed to be is Starkiller from Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
When you're pulling that ship down from space onto a planet. I have never felt like a more powerful
Yes.
Force user
Yeah.
than I did in that moment, because he is reaching into space, pulling it down to the planet where he is, and then when it crashes, then he starts to stop it before he hits him, like the ship like completely runs him over, and it's just like he was able to pull it down and stop it before he gets hit. Like, that's the most badass thing I've ever seen, and I want more Force users just to be like, I'm gonna take your ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing in gaming in general, which we honestly should have another podcast on, which is a topic that a lot of video essayists have gone over, and I'm sure plenty of podcasts have as well, being ludonarrative dissonance and ludonarrative, like, opposite word of dissonance that I can't think of off the top of my head right now.
Lephological is a real
like,
bitch right
Yeah,
now.
Lephologic is a bitch.
Like cohesiveness or
ludonarrative
harmony?
harmony
Yeah.
was the term that I've seen before. But being like, when story versus gameplay doesn't quite match up. But so just kind of to kind of start moving along a little quicker, since we're kind of running low on time and we still have NPCs to get through really quickly. After you is going to be Raptor. Who are some of your like, what makes a character cool to you? What do you want in order to feel cool?
Pretty simply, characters like the Courier from New Vegas or Dragonborn, the sense of like mystery to your character. You don't really, with the Courier, you don't know where you came from because you got shot in the head and lost all your memories. So you don't know who you are, what you were doing before this point. And then with the Dragonborn, you have this mysterious power that no one knows about. And you're trying to, figure out what it is. And, after you do, of course, you work along. But I like that approach, there being that mystery. And then, same with Fallen Order, you have some powers that you didn't realize you had that are very important to the future. So, just that sense of,
Not
who am I? Yeah. Is really neat. And then of course, having powers that others don't, which is that's a very common thing for people, not necessarily even being overpowered, but the way that you are powerful is different than others, I think is really cool. And then even situations like with Destiny, where you are essentially just like everyone else, I do think that's cool. You just be you, do your thing, whatever. That's about all I got, though.
Fair enough. And to round that off on my end of things, honestly, like, a big part of what makes a cool character is just the power fantasy. or just the fantasy in general, depending on what setting that they're in. It's like, on one hand, the power fantasy. I like playing as the Doom guy because I like tearing shit apart that normal people can't even hurt with like guns. As like, as Edward Kenway, I like playing as him because it really like puts me in that pirate fantasy. But it's all about just like, for me, the two big things come into play when making a cool main character. One, the power fantasy. Even if it's just like in Call of Duty, right? You are just a dude with equipment. You like any one of these guys could theoretically be doing the same shit you're doing, but your power comes from your wits and expertise, and your flexibility, and that's a whole different kind of power fantasy. The second is attitude. I love characters that have attitude, even if it's like Shell being silent because fuck you, that's why. Or if it's like the Doom guy just stomping in a machine that filters hell energy because he's like, fuck hell, this is shit, get out of here. Or if it's Nathan Drake just being this like kind of cocky, hilarious, like charismatic character. Like, I just love their attitude. So it's power fantasy and attitude. Not necessarily both are required, but at least one of them. And on that note, since it's kind of different with NPCs, what makes them cool versus what makes a player character cool, because with NPCs, I don't give a shit how powerful they are, right? I just want their attitude or like their lore.
Or how they relate to the character.
Or how they relate to the character. Or their role in the story can be cool sometimes. So I guess I'll actually lead off that one as a change of pace. Some of my favorite NPCs from video games, a couple of them more recent. In particular, Morrison from Devil May Cry 5, which none of you played it, so you don't know who that is. But I just like him because he's got that like, he's just like this sassy dude. He's no powers, no equipment. Like, he's just the guy who gives Dante jobs and like helps him with his business, but he's just sassy and I love it. Like, even though the people he's talking to are complete badasses, he's like, nope, I'm in charge. And I don't know, I just love that like energy. In the same vein, speaking of energy, Johnny Silverhand has a lot of energy. Johnny Silverhand is great.
Yeah.
And it really helps his case that Keanu Reeves is voicing him and modeled for him, because I just like seeing Keanu Reeves call me a fucking idiot sometimes. I think it's hilarious.
It's pretty great.
But also, like, I don't know, Johnny Silverhand has some real energy, which Cyberpunk as a setting has some real energy.
Yeah.
And then inside the setting of Cyberpunk, Rocker Boys have some real energy. It's a whole thing. But yeah, so Johnny Silverhand and Morrison from Devil May Cry, but also on a separate note, Dowd from Dishonored is one of my favorites because he is basically, he's supposed to serve as like the polar opposite of Corvo, kind of. And in the same vein with Virgil from Devil May Cry as well. But like with Dowd, it's more interesting because like Corvo's whole thing is like he's this royal protector, and then he gets framed for the murder of the Empress, and he's been dishonored and has to regain his honor. And in theory, depending on what choices you make, which, you know, the canon ending is the good guy ending, but you have like assassination targets, and if you choose to go down a darker path, it results in like, you know, more deaths equals more corpses equals more food for rats, more rats equals more infected. And in later stages of the game, you actually have to deal with the results of your actions, and you have more infected enemies and shit like that. In the same vein though, like Dowd started out as this assassin, and he's already super dishonorable. He just kills for money. Shit, he was paid to kill the Empress herself. But over the course of like his story with the DLC, when you do play as him, he's got like this cool, like, I wouldn't even call it like a redemption arc, because he never really feels like he wants to redeem himself because he feels like he can't do it. But he does feel like he needs to make changes, and he does, depending on the choices you make as well, of course. But his actual attitude and his dialogue, he does make changes to himself. And it's just interesting the way that he has that like juxtaposition with Corvo. Moving on from there, though, just kind of wrap up cool NPCs and like really brief, hopefully briefer than I was, descriptions as to why. We're gonna go for
Everybody's on there.
Yeah.
I guess PHNX Rainbolt. We're gonna go to Jeffrey.
I like how it's slowly raising. my hand.
What are a couple of your favorite NPCs that you think specifically are cool? And
that I
why?
think are cool. You got Dom from Gears of War because he's just a homie.
Don't forget about the Coal Train, baby.
Yeah, and just Marcus's whole squad. Okay,
They're
let's
all
be
cool.
honest. They're all pretty cool. And then you got fucking what's his name? Ryuji from Persona
fair.
5.
That's
Ryuji
fair.
is straight
Ryuji's a
up
homie.
just a homie, and like you actually want to spend time with him as a character because it's like he's got your back since day one, and you like his energy never changes. Everyone's like starts off right here with you. Ryuji is just like, bam, we got this. We homies day one, and it never
But
changes.
It feels organic. It doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to make him your homie.
Yeah, like it feels.
Because you're telling Ryuji like your own story about how like you were arrested for punching this politician in the face because he was trying to push himself onto a woman, and like, I mean, I don't think you actually did punch him in the face.
No, you ended up like pushing him,
You,
and
like,
he's so
pushed him and
drunk
he
he
fell.
trips and hits his head on the rail.
Yeah, stupid. But you got arrested for assaulting him, and like you're telling this story, and you're like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but like, you know, what are you gonna do? And Ryuji's like, nah, fuck that. That's shit. Fuck that guy. And Ryuji's just got that like, I've got your back energy.
Yeah, it's like, and I like it because it's like a lot of games when they try to set you up with like, this is your best friend character. Like it doesn't feel organic, but with Ryuji, it does. And I'm like, I vibe with this.
They could have
guy.
pushed Ryuji as like he's been your homie since before the game started, and I would have been like, it makes sense. He's got that energy, but instead it's like day one.
Yeah, and then another cool like NPC character that I don't think a lot of people will like is Navi from Ocarina of Time, because like the reason I hit my mic. The reason I
Come on, man.
We gotta have a mic hitting
Now I
counter.
gotta edit that.
He has
No, you just gotta have a mic hitting counter
object
just in the
permanence.
corner.
how many times Jeff hits his mic?
Yeah, just ding ding
Ding,
every
ding,
time.
Ding, ding, ding. I would like that actually. Anyway, the reason why I say Navi is because like she serves as Link's guide, and like she is annoying. Don't get me wrong, but like she's just trying to be helpful to Link, and like it's the story between her and the Ocarina of Time Link that I enjoy, and it's just what it does to the Ocarina of Time Link at the end of the game is what I think makes her character a little like cooler. But like I wouldn't put her on the top list. Like she's at the bottom of my list because there's some pretty cool characters like Sergeant Johnson in Halo.
Yeah.
Because like he just brings
I
the
regret
big
being
dick
an alien bastard.
energy.
I could be your daddy. Dad.
And then another cool NPC is Rex from Mass Effect.
Ah,
He's a
Yeah.
cool character, and like his whole
Harper's got a
story.
little something going on back there.
Yeah, and it's like he's just a cool character, and like he like depending on how you treat him in the game, he becomes Shepard's like I got your back, homie, no matter what. Like so you have this big like Chieftain Krogan just like right there like flexing like I'll defend this man. He's my brother, or like he's part of my clan, and it's like I just like characters that are like
They
supportive.
got your back.
Yeah, they got your back, and like I definitely feel that they
Yeah.
have my back.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what are some of your cool NPCs and why?
So since I'll lead off with my Mass Effect one was Garrus. Because literally for the. I feel like I love all the Mass Effect NPCs
He's
like
another
Rex
character that
and
just has your
Miranda.
back.
Yeah, and like Rex, Miranda. Man, Ashley kind of pissed me off, but that's another story. But like Garrus has your back like to the end, and I just love Garrus. Like he's got such like. He's not even like big energy about it. He's just like, yeah, I got you. Like whatever you need, Shepard. I got you.
He's one of the characters that has always had your back throughout all the games.
All
Like,
3 games.
All 3 games, and it's like because you got Tali, but like she's more of I got your back because I want that back.
Oh,
I mean,
Well-
you're not wrong.
But like,
But also,
like she is a homie. Don't get me wrong, but like Garrus is the homie.
like if I had to pick one person to like make real life and be like my actual homie, it'd be Garrus. It'd be Garrus. Like Garrus is great.
He wouldn't get you
Um,
as much trouble as Rex would.
Yeah, probably. Probably. Another cool NPC. Ooh. Okay, this one's probably my favorite, and I was trying to save him to last, but I'm drawing a blank on a few. Is Captain Price. Like, even though you can play Captain Price in Modern Warfare 3, but Captain Price, like, literally your first introduction is him with a cigar in his mouth.
What kind
And
of
he
name
looks
is
at you and he's
Soap?
like, what the hell kind of a name is Soap? And I'm just like, who are you? I like you. And
Who
then
are
like,
you? I
the-
like your chops,
like-
buddy.
right. Like,
I
and
like
then
the cut
all
of your
three
jibs.
games, it's just him, like you really see how he goes to bat for like the squad doing things in certain situations, or like saving your life, or you can see like when there's loss in the team, how it affects him. And like at the end in Modern Warfare 3, it's him and Soap, and it's them going to like take care of business and against all odds. And then Soap ends up dying like right there in front of Price, and you can just see like he's mortified, but he's still got this fight. Like he's still got to survive and get out, because if he's about to die. And like, oh my gosh, that's probably the best FPS trilogy
man,
Other
making me
than
really
Halo.
want to replay the Modern Warfare
other than
games.
Halo. Like Halo's dope, but like
But
in
you
my
say-
opinion, that's the best FPS trilogy campaigns. Like it's so good.
you saying
um,
like Price just reminded me of Woods from Black Ops.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
pretty
Woods was
cool.
good.
Ooh,
Woods
I
was
Chris
like,
good.
I
Reznov
like
from
that.
Black Ops.
If you were to say the Black Ops, I would have agreed, because I like the Black Ops series much better.
And
The
then,
Reznov from
campaigns,
Black Ops is
really.
a cool motherfucker.
Yeah, Reznov. Like you got a lot of cool
Yeah.
people from.
Victor Reznov,
Yeah,
and I will have my revenge.
But
He's
like
got that energy. He's got that
you saying
attitude.
like Soap, like and Price. Like Price was Soap's mentor. And another cool
Yeah.
like NPC mentor is Duncan from Dragon Age. Like, he just has like this nice like stoic voice. So, like he's the narrator of the game, so you get introduced to his voice, and then you start the game, and then like he shows up later in the introduction of the game, and you're like, oh my god,
That's the guy.
narrator. That's the
my
guy.
wife.
that's him.
He gave
That's
you the
my-
rundown.
that's my
of the
wife.
the rundown of the lore of the game, but then like, once you beat the first like chapter of the game, he dies, but he doesn't go out like
Yeah.
a little punk. He goes out like a warrior, and it's just like, hell yeah, that's my mentor.
Hoorah!
Yeah. Now I'll also say this though: not only protagonist NPCs, but antagonist NPCs.
I mean, NPCs are NPCs, boy.
No,
You
I
have them
know,
here.
I know.
Get 'em-
I'm just
get 'em up in
thinking
here.
like we've mostly named
I mean, I said Dowd.
protagonists, but like
Yeah.
that's true. You
You
did.
killed
You
your
did.
wife. Well, not your wife, but
Um,
the mother of your child.
But
They wanted
like,
to be married. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah. Lydia from Skyrim. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry
Antagonist
to
for sure.
carry your burdens. I hate her.
God.
I'm prepared to carry
Malik's a
your
cool
burdens.
bad NPC, and KOTOR. Like,
That's true.
He betrayed Revan to take Revan's place, and like he's not some like little bitch. He's Revan's a tall guy, but Malik is like
Yeah.
towers over him, and like it. You can
Yeah.
feel like the amount of like power and respect he controls, and it's just like I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I would say the Arbiter is one. I would say Emil and Carter are one. I really like NPCs from a lot of the first person shooter games. But yeah, I feel like I have a lot more, but I'm gonna pass it on.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and wrap back up to Patriot, since you were off from your camera at the time that we started this.
Yeah.
You didn't bring your
Just what
dog back.
are a
Though. I'm kind of
couple
salty.
No, I would get rid
NPCs
of
that
her.
you think are really cool, and like just kind of a brief description as to why.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many to name from Halo, so I'm just gonna rapid fire them real quick. Just a few of them. But
That's
to
what I did
start,
with my PC.
with my
gonna say
favorite
the
one, of
didact.
course, Captain Del Rio from Halo 4. I mean, who doesn't love that guy and his love for chips? Anyways, if you don't get that meme,
I love how Halo.
anyways,
we're
that
gonna
was a
have to talk about
joke. That
Halo
guy
4.
sucks. But
I like chips.
favorite NPCs, or yeah, NPCs, especially companions, Arbiter, 100%, Stoic, and Devout, and just a really cool dude. Talk about cool female characters, Miranda Keys. Another cool one is Buck and Veronica from ODST.
Buck is a female.
He's just gonna.
Buck is totally
just-
female.
Buck is a female. Yeah.
And you know, that's why I'll stop for that. There's so many cool
I'm
Halo
very
characters.
disappointed.
Well, what do you think makes
in
them
Joey.
like specifically
I'll get to
cool?
that.
What? Why are you disappointed?
You didn't bring up Forge, dude. Sergeant Forge.
Sergeant
But
Forge.
he's technically not an NPC. He's a PC because you play as.
That's kinda
Forge.
true.
That's
But still,
in the
Forge,
campaign. though?
dope.
Yeah, in the campaign of what the campaign he's in, you play
Kinda.
as
True, yeah.
Forge, as the hero's character in the RTS. That's
anyways,
technically who your hero is.
Moving on. Moving
But
on.
he's just
Forge's
my
cool.
hero.
So is
But as
Sergeant
an NPC
Johnson.
in
Little known one, Sergeant Stackers is cool. Anyways, moving on.
Just everybody from Halo.
Out of Halo.
Sergeant Johnson. Again,
I do like all the prophets. They're cool. Anyways,
Brute
He's
Chieftain.
funny.
outside of Halo,
Suicide
I
Grunts.
think
Tartarus.
Fallout 4. Tartarus is cool. Okay.
Tartar sauce.
Fallout
Ooh.
4.
I want fish and
the
chips now.
companion Deacon. I really digged him.
Yeah.
He was just like funny. And he did, since he was a synth, like he would do these jokes with you that sometimes I'd sit there and be like, that's funny, but are you serious, man? Like, you sure? And then I had to brutally murder him, and I felt really bad, but we won't
You
talk about
had
that.
to brutally
That's a different
murder.
podcast
Had
from
to.
another
it was
time.
required.
Yeah, the trauma
It's
cast.
video
Trauma
game
cast.
regrets.
And let's see, Wheatley and what's her name?
Gladys.
Gladys. Claptrap's cool,
Claptrap.
but I actually don't play Borderlands, so I don't think I can claim that.
He's so funny.
Oh,
Such a
I
fun
I
kid.
forgot
funny.
about Claptrap.
I think like his funniness makes him cool in my book. Like if he's made me
Yeah.
laugh so
Hard
much,
disagree.
he's just cool in my book.
I don't think he's cool, but I think he's hilarious.
And also the Fallout 3 dad, just because it's Liam
Yeah.
Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
It's just that voice, man. It just gets me.
Speaks
Yeah,
to
I
my
think
soul.
that's all I can think of right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just rapid
I-
fire answers. I think I can dig it. To finalize and drop the podcast off the face of the earth and onto the face of the internet, Raptor, what are some of your cool NPCs?
All
and
right.
A brief description as to why.
So we got Clara from the first Watch Dogs game. She's great. She's
Ooh.
also French, and that's mwah.
Oh.
We've got Elise from Assassin's Creed Unity.
I
Um,
fucking didn't even.
Ooh,
I hated
Unity.
that entire story.
Wow.
But
For
she
one
was
reason
great.
only, I was not interested in the characters. Like it was not. It was just super bland.
I
like
was
that.
interested in
Yeah.
the co-op part,
Yeah.
but then like I couldn't
Yeah.
even do the like story as in co-op. That's
The co-op missions were pretty good though.
They
We
were.
used to play some co-ops.
When they were-
If
you
you
and I.
could, yeah, exactly.
That was fun,
Next
oh,
co-op Assassin's Creed win.
Yeah, seriously, man.
for real.
Any dog companion ever?
True.
They're always great.
Absolutely.
Chopper from GTA.
That's fair. We got dog meat from Fallout 3 and 4.
Oh, the Fable 2 like hero's dog.
True.
So sad, so sad.
What is it?
Rex, I think his name was, from Fallout New Vegas. The
Yeah.
cyborg dog.
Oh, Rex. Yeah, Rex was
yeah.
cool. What was the dude that like in Vegas? The dude that was basically Elvis Presley.
I forgot
I
his
love that
name.
dude.
I know what you're talking about. The
love that
King
dude.
of
They called
Freeside.
The king, like he's
Yeah.
just
The king, yeah, the king. I love
king.
that dude. I would have done anything for that guy.
And
Don't forget about Riley,
His
Steven.
house had a megaphone outside that was
Yeah.
constantly blaring Elvis music. It was great.
Yeah,
That is beautiful.
It is very
That's
beautiful.
big energy.
big energy.
New
Big
Vegas
Elvis
was just
energy.
great for that.
New Vegas is great. Oh, Gary is our favorites. Can't forget Gary.
Steven, don't forget about Riley.
Riley. Oh,
That
yeah.
was great.
Oh, I hate that I forgot about Riley. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
know.
Ghosts. That was nice. I liked.
Put
I
rough
like
roughs in the chat.
Yeah.
Don't, please don't.
Steven's named like three dogs out of his companions that
Hey,
he's like.
man.
NPCs
Dogs
that
are
are
cool.
cool.
I
All the
accept it.
dogs. Yeah.
What makes them cool? They're dogs.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no cat NPCs
Does
in here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
does Deathclaw count?
So you got like
no, it's not Deathclaw.
Minecraft ocelot.
What's the person's ability that in Borderlands they summon that robot? Does that one count?
Oh, are you talking about in Borderlands 3 the?
No,
The-
Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay.
When Gage summons her.
Oh, her death trap.
Yeah, Death Trap. Does Death Trap count as an NPC? Because that's just
No.
dope. Damn, I thought he would.
No.
Oh wait.
Oh, he has
and
no
then
character.
oh, what's her name from Fallout 4? The Irish girl.
Oh no. Ooh, I hate her.
We got
I
I
always
hate
hated
her, but I love her
Piper.
because I hate her.
Piper.
No,
Right?
No,
Piper's
no,
the news
Piper's
person.
the
You can
news
hate them
person.
and have
I
them
hate
be
her.
cool.
Paige. I think it's Paige.
No.
No, it's something with a C.
This is gonna bug me. I
Skip
gotta
it.
Google it. No, I gotta Google it. I gotta do it.
Okay.
While you're googling it, I'm gonna say I completely forgot about this NPC. Freaking love Cicero from Skyrim. Absolutely love him. That's
Kate.
psychotic.
Kate, yeah,
Ooh.
I love Kate. She's very sassy and rude, and it's
Man, I
great.
didn't even bring up one of my other favorites earlier. Gilbert from Bloodborne. I just love his voice. That's it. That's the only
Hey, I
thing.
said I love
You
Liam Neeson's voice.
You never
so.
see him. You never. I mean, you kind of see him. but,
Yennefer
you
from
don't.
Witcher-
He's just a
Witcher.
voice. Yennefer, yeah, but she has the same energy as Geralt, so I lump them together.
Yeah,
Plus, I
but-
followed her romance plot. But no, fucking Gilbert from Bloodborne. He's just got a really cool accent.
And
He's
we'll
named 3 dogs and like
say-
3 women,
Hmm.
which is good. I mean, that's female representation.
It's got it's got a good country song waiting for him.
Yeah,
Just gotta throw a truck in there.
all my women left me, and they took each of my dogs.
Wow.
That's your attempt.
Yeah,
I
that
guess
was my
for
turn.
nostalgia,
That's
the
it.
the pilot from the Force Unleashed games.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. She
wow.
was kind of cool.
Throwback.
Was it June?
June.
Yeah, June.
Yeah.
June.
She's
Uh,
great.
She was cool.
Throwback.
The mentor for him. I've liked him.
Oh, the blind guy.
The blind guy.
He made him blind, which yeah.
Yeah.
That dude, I've always loved that dude's character design.
It
Like
was
for a
his
Jedi.
destiny to be
Yeah.
blind.
So cool.
He didn't make him blind.
He's a fucking alcoholic.
That says nothing about my character.
This is nothing.
This says nothing about my character.
And then
Joey really is just a lizard robot.
the robot training droid that you get as
Oh,
well.
he was
just
so
constantly
cool.
shits on you for existing, and it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't forget
I love
about
asshole characters, man.
Yeah.
you can't forget about the little droid dude in
Oh, BD1?
BB1?
No,
BD1.
BD1.
BD1, yeah,
From
that's
Fallen
right. Yeah,
Order, yeah.
BD1 from Fallen Order, and then the Inquisitor, the human one. Cool.
Yeah, the 9?
Cool story.
It's the 9th.
Cool story,
Something like
bro.
that. Cool story, bro. Fun fight. Anyways.
Vampire.
All right, and does that wrap us up?
Just rapid fire. Everyone go.
Yeah. You know what?
Zelda.
Let's just do a whole other episode right now.
Zelda. Peach.
All
Just
right.
like starts naming every character.
I mean, let's be honest though, Zelda's pretty swanky in some of the Zelda games.
Yeah.
Particularly Breath of the Wild Zelda I really like, but like also she's pretty cute.
Oh my God, Sidon from Breath of the Wild. He's so cool. I like him. He's got some big dick energy.
I don't really like that one very much. Anyways though,
The
Oh,
Doctor from Doom. The Doctor from Doom.
Oh, my horse in Ghost of
Doctor-
Tsushima.
I can't remember his name. Starts with an H, I think. I don't remember. Whatever.
Anyways,
moving
that-
on.
That's going to wrap up this episode of PHNX Reloaded. And went a little longer than anticipated, but I mean, when have we not? And
That's fair. Or mega fair.
next time we'll probably be bringing you a little bit of an extra voice in the mix of things.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes out. But
Yeah.
Wasn't he in the first one though?
He was.
yes, but not the second.
So
And who
I
knows
mean-
how many we'll
now.
record before this one?
Right.
No, that's fair.
Before hit, yeah.
big ouch.
I
So
I thought that we were
we'll
going
see how
to
things go.
get
But
Byron into this. So I was
this
like,
was just a
wait
fun little
second.
chat about what makes cool player characters and cool NPCs. Give you a little bit more insight into what kind of games we like and why we like them and things like that. Things that
Yeah.
involve why you play the game, is whose shoes you want to step into. But
You
as
should leave a
always-
comment about why your favorite NPCs.
Yeah, leave a comment with your favorite NPCs or your favorite PCs. Your favorite characters in games in general, I suppose.
Trash
Also,
talk
any
our picks.
ideas
Check out
that
our
you
Discord.
have for our for like future podcasts? Like,
Yeah,
what
go
do
ahead
you guys
and-
want?
We'll have the link to our Discord, of course, as always, and you can use that to join, and you can go ahead and give us, ideas as to what podcast topics you'd like to hear. And we, have plenty of like chat in there regarding games in general, but yeah, so check out the description for our Discord, and of course links to all of our Twitches and the YouTube channel that we have this on and everything, but like our branches, like Rainbolt's channel, things like that. Just basically join the Discord, and you'll get notifications for all of that garbage anyways.
Yeah.
And by the way, like
That's the best
recommendations for future podcasts don't necessarily have to be about gaming. They can be about
Yeah.
other things as well.
Very true.
Yeah.
Or
You can check
recommend-
out our last podcast. It wasn't even
Yeah,
really about
just
gaming.
finances.
Kinda.
Yeah, and
Or just
subscriptions. It was still
recommendations
gaming related, kind of. But
for
yeah,
content like you want to see that.
Gaming
Like-
and politics is
Yep.
still gaming adjacent.
Like just
Yeah,
give
but
us-
content. Join our Discord, and you can get the golden treatment basically.
And hell, even
Yeah.
constructive
Join our
feedback.
Discord, and you will not have cancer anymore.
yes,
constructive
constructive feedback would
feedback.
be great.
and trash talking our picks for favorite PCs and NPCs
Yes.
would be great because that
Tell us
starts
why
a
we should.
If you
discussion.
think some of them aren't cool or you hate them or whatever,
We want you to get mad. Get
Yeah.
into
get
it.
mad.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm
Take
a
the
You know,
lemons
for-
and burn their house down with it.
Yeah.
Cave Johnson was the best NPC.
Oh,
For high enough-
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm
For
Yeah,
high
Steve
enough
Jobs
donation, we'll let you guys be on the
earlier.
podcast too.
All right.
Man's got a
We're gonna
point.
drop things off there. Check out our Discord, check out our links, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time on the next episode.
I'm gonna put my
of
Cash
PHNX
App below.
Reloaded.
Peace out.
I just like the idea like the podcast takes off and someone like goes back to watch the third podcast. It's like, see, you said if I donated, like I